guys, welcome to this episode of the Next Step Podcast. I'm your host, Alison Leigh Simmons. And if you listen to episode 28, the season opener for season 3, I talked about how I was going to be sharing all the tips, tricks, strategies, and mindset that comes with being your own boss better in your business, right? And so the interview that I'm about to share is actually one that I recorded over the summer. It was supposed to be part of season 2, but because me and my guest could never get our schedules to work out, it just happened that we recorded this episode long after season 2 is over, and we squeezed it in literally. I was the day I got back from vacation and the day before she left for hers. And like, that's life, right? But I wanted to share this episode. I thought it was actually quite divine intervention, if you will, that I couldn't share this episode until now, because I literally implemented the profit first system that we talk about in this episode immediately after this episode. I literally, like, she and I got off that interview. I got on Amazon, ordered the book Profit First, and you can get that link if you go to the resources page on my website, read the book, started implementing it. By the way, it's not a boring book. The guy, Mike Malowitz, I can't even say his last name. Y'all, his book is hysterical. It's right up my alley with like numbers, math, sarcasm. So you'll enjoy it. But I started implementing the system immediately. And I am so excited. I have money set aside for taxes. I have money set aside for profit. I have been paying myself more because I've been so much more conscious of my expenses. So I'm paying down debt, all the things. So I want you to listen to this episode. I want you to take to heart everything Shannon says. And then I want you to get the book, and I want you to implement this system in your business, because the first step to being your own boss better is paying yourself. And then more so than that, having profit so you can bonus yourself later. All right, I'm not gonna talk anymore. I want you to go right now. I want you to listen to this episode, and then I want you to buy the book, and I want you to take the action and implement what you learn. All right, y'all, I will see you on the other side. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Next Step Podcast. I am your host, Alison Leigh Simmons, and today, believe it or not, we are not sisters. I have Shannon Simmons with me here today. She is a profit coach and business consultant and has been working in the accounting and bookkeeping industry since 2003. She is a certified profit first professional and helps business owners find profit in their business so they can thrive. When she's not meeting with entrepreneurs or assessing their businesses, she enjoys spending time with her husband and 2 children, serving in their community, playing and watching sports, and marveling at nature, reading a good book. And before we got on, she shared with me that the RV lifestyle is not too far off in her future. And I was expressing the joys of RV lifestyle that I am having, that many of my listeners know all about. Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Allison. I'm super excited to be here.
I feel like this episode has been a long time coming. We both had to reschedule a couple different times. And then I am back from vacation for the first day today, and you are leaving for vacation tomorrow. So squeezed it in, as business owners often do. Get it done.
That's right. Make it work. Make it happen when we can.
Exactly. So let's just start off with a little bit about your journey. How I am a math geek. So bookkeeping and all that is like a good time to me, but it is not for many. So how did it start for you?
Yeah, I'm also a math geek. I knew very early on, and actually I would say maybe beyond being a math geek, I'm also maybe very, very, very detail oriented. Some people might say that goes off the deep end every once in a while and call it something else. But I love organizing, and that's really what I see when I see a set of books. It's organized, or sometimes it's not organized, and I get to have fun organizing it, but that's fun for me. I love to get in there and create a system for business owners on their bookkeeping and do their books and get all of their numbers looking really nice and pretty. So I've been doing it, since 2003, 21 years, 16 years now on my own. It has definitely evolved from me, myself, and I to now I have a team of 9 other people working with us, but we just really love to help people understand numbers too, right? It's one thing to get them organized, but then to like understand what they mean and that they really do tell a story, and we get to help people understand their story, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then they stop being afraid of them. And then that makes a whole different, I think that's the key, is getting people to stop being afraid so they can start to dream. and they're not scared of the numbers, but excited about them.
Yeah, it's truly amazing how many people are scared and afraid. And the answer to that is to ignore them. Because, when we ignore things, it gets better.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That in every area of life, we all know how
Right?
that works.
Exactly.
So speaking of which, but not really, I know we also, before we started recording, we're chatting a little bit about your own specific journey of not necessarily fear, but just the struggle and the anxiety that came around the idea of money and that mindset. So if you wouldn't mind, share with me where it all started for you in terms of your own money mindset and how it's changed.
Yeah. So it wasn't fear of money itself, but it was fear of conversations around money. And so that was a deep fear that I had to do a lot of work to get past. And it was really interesting. Like, listen, I was always good to have conversations with other people about their money, but my own life, my own accountant, my own husband, not comfortable conversations. And there was really nothing scary about it for my husband, but growing up, didn't have a whole lot of money. And really the only conversations I saw or was involved in around money were arguments. They were tight, they were tense, they were just really negative. And so I just came to equate money with our fighting and arguing. And who wants to do that? So I just would not have the conversation. And so that led to me carrying all the burden of my own household money for a long time. My husband was unemployed for a while, and that led to a whole lot of things, but I just carried that burden. So there was a lot of healing that had to happen around that, and realizing that, money is just energy. It's just a thing. It's just something we use to transact in the world. Doesn't have to be scary. And like I said, there was nothing scary about my relationship with my husband. It was just that history that I had to do a lot of work and now get to help clients realize that, listen, this is just numbers on a paper. There's nothing scary about the numbers itself. Let's help you understand them so that we can remove that fear and let money work for you instead of being afraid of it and hoping it's all okay, even when it's probably not.
Yeah, no, I love that because I can tell you. So my husband and I, when I had my first business, I did direct sales for a while and I was actually quite successful at it. And it made him a little bit bitter about it. You know what I mean? Because he was not supportive of my business, and because for good reason, I had made it an idol. It mattered more to me than my family. And so like that idea of, I was like, I'm making all this money, I'm paying down credit cards. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't care if you're helping pay down the credit card. Like for us, that conversation, even though I was making money, you would think that the green, seeing green in the checking account would be a good thing. For us, it created conflict because he was angry about the time it was costing me to make that money. And so just because you're making money, that doesn't mean the conversations about money are good. Conversations about money can be stressful. And so I love that it's a different approach, but the same ending was confrontation about money, regardless of how much it was.
And we see that all the time with all the different money stories. So it does not matter if you came from a childhood of a lot of money or a little money. You can end up with a scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset. Some people, it's like, I had all the money in the world, so we had no problem spending. So now I still have the spending habit, right? Or we had all the money in the world and my parents hoarded it, and so now I'm a hoarder. It's like the exact same childhood can lead to complete opposite ends of the spectrum in pretty much any money conversation.
I love that. So what I'm hearing, and this is really cool, is that it's not just about getting your books in order, being organized. You're very much a part of that conversation of like, let's make the numbers make sense, and then let's make you feel good about what you can do with those numbers. So I love that. Well, and that leads me perfectly into, I want you to talk about your program, the Profit First system. What is it? How does it work? I see in the background you have a book. Did you write that book? Is that your book?
I did not write that book. That book was written by somebody else, but I am certified in teaching and implementing that model in other businesses.
Okay, so tell me about it, because I like the title a lot.
Yeah, right? Who doesn't like a book called Profit First as a business owner, right? So the way I like to explain it is, I think most people have heard of the envelope system of managing your personal finances. This kind of modernizes the envelope system and makes it applicable to businesses instead of personal finances. So in business, we don't use cash ever, especially in the 21st century, right? And so instead of having envelopes, we open up multiple bank accounts in your business. And you do the same thing like you would do with envelopes. You get money into your bank account. We have one bank account set up just for receiving money. You get money in there, and then you allocate it into the different envelopes or buckets that we determine you need in your business. And the first place that you allocate money always is profit, because you have to take care of yourself and your profit first. Like, it's the way we can guarantee you'll be profitable with this system, because you allocate there. And then the psychology of the system is that, when you're given $10,000 or 100 hours to do something, you will use $10,000 or 100 hours. We've all known company was coming to our house for days and we wait until the last minute to clean, right?
Yes. Yes.
We use all the time we're given. And the same thing happens with our money. But if we take just a little bit out, like 1%, and put it in this profit account, we can still run our business off of 99%, let's say, and we can start to really dial in what are the optimal percentages for you in your business and allocate to all these different places. But we always take care of profit first so that you're like sustainable.
I love that. And isn't that like absolutely the backwards, like, as business owners? So my audience is those business owners, they've experienced success, right? We're not newbies. We're not just starting. So we're making consistent money, and yet probably haven't been taking a paycheck, or not a significant one, because our mind is growth mindset, reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. And then we end up burning out because we're like, I'm not making any money. It's costing me all this time and I'm not making money. So what a novel concept. And I do it, but I don't do it. Like, I budget how much I'm going to take out for myself, but I don't take it out first. But it's a mindset shift there. Like, if I did take it out first, it would help me make decisions about what I'm investing the rest of that money in afterwards so much easier, because I know how much is left.
Yep. You know exactly how much is left. And because from our conversation before, so the second account that we allocate to is your tax account.
Yeah, I don't do this one. This one is not on my list.
Right. This is why this system, though, when I first read about this system, I had to have it and I had to implement it in my business, because just told you my husband was unemployed for a while at the beginning of my business. And until that point, his W-2 income was taking care of our taxes. Then all of a sudden we didn't have it. So as an accountant, I had a tax bill that I couldn't pay. That hurts.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So I actually had started that part of the system before I read Profit First. And so it was just a no-brainer to me when I was like, oh, wait, you can do the same thing with profit. But once you start to have profit in your business, you're going to have taxes, which is great, actually. I don't want you to pay more than you have to. And I want you to be prepared. So that's why we have that tax account, so that, again, you're taking that money out, you're doing it every time, every month, every time you get paid, however the frequency is for you. And it's a lot easier than stomaching a big tax bill that you're not expecting in April. So it's just, and then again, you see how much is left in your operating expense account, and you're like, okay, I can run my business off of this. But if you don't take that tax money out, who the hell's saving for taxes if it's just in their operating expense?
Oh gosh, absolutely not. So no, that's such a good point, because that idea of it, and again, there's less fear around tax day because you know that you have that money set aside. So 100%. It all comes back. It's all coming around. I'm loving it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is novel. Okay. So the idea is that we're going to pay ourselves first. And then, despite the fact that we might not want to, we're going to set aside money to pay the government second. Right. But that's a good thing, because paying the government means we're making money. Right. Mindset shift. Exactly. So then what's the third step or part of this system then?
Yeah. So the 5 accounts, you're going to have an income account, your profit account, your tax account. The 4th account is actually your owner's pay account. So there is a differentiation between profit and owner's pay. Owner's pay is the salary you're taking from the business.
Oh, I misunderstood that completely. So you're going to have to go back and explain profit.
Profit is very similar. It's a very slight nuance between the two. Okay. So owner's pay is your salary. That's the money you're taking every single paycheck. It's paying your bills personally. It's the money you live off of. Profit is the bonus that you get at the end of every quarter for having a profitable business. It's as if you had an investment in the stock market and they sent you a distribution check, but instead of this time
Shut
it's
up. That just blew my mind because that's not what I was thinking at all. I was thinking set aside the money they're going to pay yourself, but you're like, no, no, no. That's profit is
both.
a bonus and then
Yep.
taxes. I'm sorry, what was the third
Yep.
one?
Owner's pay.
Owner's pay is the third one. I'm sorry. I thought you said
Profit, taxes, owner's pay. Yep.
owner's pay. Okay. All right. Take me to the fourth because you're blowing my mind. What's the fourth
Now
one?
you have to pay all the other things that you have to pay in your business.
Got you. Expenses. Lovely.
Expenses. It's operating expenses. It's literally everything else. But it's just really important, like that you differentiate between profit and owner's pay, especially for people who are still working in their business, right? If you've made it to the point where you're not working in your business, you may have somebody else that's getting the quote unquote owner's pay. But if you're not paying yourself as an owner, you'll never be able to pay somebody else to do the work you do in your business.
Right. That makes
So
sense.
we just separate those two out. And then, yeah, the operating expenses, that's for, rent if you're a brick and mortar, it's for all your dues and subscriptions, it's for your VAs and
Yeah,
all
your
the support
contractors. Got
that you
you.
need. Exactly. Yep, that's where your operating expenses.
So I feel like there's nothing left. What could possibly be number 5?
So income is the first one. It's really just like the place where all your money comes in and sits
Oh,
until you
got
put it
you.
into those other 4. So those are the 5
Okay.
bank accounts.
So the
Yep.
5 is the general intake, and then those 4 are the ones you allocate out. All right. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Okay. I'm really loving this. So now the next question is going to be, because I already know the struggles that I have with implementing these, and that idea sounds really great, but I know that there would be struggles. What are the biggest things that you see business owners are like, oh, this is such a great, I love your system idea, but I can't
Yep.
because. What comes after the
Yep.
because?
I would say 2 things come. Some people will say, oh my God, you want me to have 5 bank accounts? I'm like really struggling to do the books for my 1 bank account. I can't do it for 5. To that we say, really, you're transferring into those 4 accounts twice a month.
Mhm.
So and all your operating expenses are still going to come out of one place. They're already coming out of one place. There's really not a whole lot of transactions that happen in those other 4 accounts. So we're talking like maybe 8 to 10 additional transactions every month.
Mhm.
It's really not that much more bookkeeping.
Okay.
It's very small. It's worth it, right? Because
Yeah.
now you have a system for handling your cash in
No,
your business.
and anything is worth it if you have a system in place.
Yeah, right. We love systems. The other but that we hear, the system is great, but what percentages do I start at? Right? Like how
Mhm.
much do I allocate into all of these different places? Because how much? That's really just the question. I don't know. And the book will give you percentages. The book gives you what they call target allocation percentages. And I actually have a profit first overview that I will give to you to send out, or we can do it, that walks through what the targets are and then how to figure out where to start. Because really it's about making baby steps. We see people try to start with targets and they kill their business, or like they've never taken a paycheck a day in their life. And now all of a sudden the book has told them to take 50% of their revenue. Well, they have contractors that they have to pay too. And they've been paying contractors 95% of their revenue.
Right.
And they take 50, the math doesn't work there.
Right. No kidding. Okay. So
So they just jump in too fast. So you have to do baby steps when you're implementing the system for sure.
No, that makes good. It's funny because that would be my question. Like as a math geek, right? I like my formulas. Tell me what to plug into my equation to get the answer. And I am one of those all or nothing kind of people. So if I read that book and it said take 50%, which to me sounds insane. I like that would be like, down the road, but I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then you're right. I'd sink my freaking business because I'd be running up a credit card, paying all of the expenses because I'm taking 50% for myself. So
yeah, we don't want that, like, because that will just bring all that fear right back in, right? And then
Right.
people do this. They're like, oh, well, the system doesn't work. They throw the whole system out. It's like, no, it's not the system that doesn't work. We just need to make sure we're implementing it correctly so that doesn't happen for you.
In stages.
Yep.
Got you.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Baby
that
steps.
makes sense that would be because that would be I guarantee you that's what I would do because I'm a rule follower and I'd be like, but the book said.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I absolutely love that. So how does implementing the system change things down the road? Like if I were to say to you, okay, I'm going to read this book, Shannon, I'm going to baby step into it, right? when am I going to start seeing some results? When can I be like, oh yeah, the system's rocking, it's working for me? How long is it going to take? Because that's the other thing that I always want to know. Every business owner wants to know, what's the ROI and how long?
Yep. Honestly, I think 3 months. You start to see results in
Ooh.
3 months because you get to take that first profit distribution. Remember that profit account? That's your bonus. Every quarter, you get to take a little bit of a profit distribution. It may be really small at first, but man, is it fun to like literally. I started this in September of whatever year it was, or I started it in August. The end of September is the end of a quarter. Took my first profit distribution. It was $20. But buying ice cream for my kids as a profit distribution from the business that I hadn't taken a paycheck from for 5 years, that was some really damn good ice cream.
Yeah. It tasted better than any ice cream ever on the planet. I love that. Well, and 3 months in the business world, that's nothing. I mean, that's like, whoosh. So to say, if you start implementing this today, hey, you're right. And again, it's mindset more than the amount, but knowing that you just took a profit. Oh, I like that. That you could do anything for 3 months, even if all you did was give it a shot for 3 months just to see if it worked. That's fantastic. So how do people now, as a guide or as a certified profit first expert, if people wanted to work with you, what would that look like in terms of like, well, I could just read the book and implement it, right, Shannon? Like, I don't need you. Like, what is the part that you bring to the table that they're not getting without you?
Yeah. So there are people who read the book and implement it and are great all on their own. There are very few people who can do that. I equate it to people who can work out on their own and see results, right? Like there's just not a whole lot of us out there in the world. Some of us can. Most of us need a community. Most of us need that accountability. Most of us are so afraid of numbers that the whole idea of figuring out our own percentages freaks us out, and we're like, hell no, I'm just not even gonna start because I will fuck it up from the very beginning. Right. And so a lot of what we do, I mean, we will figure out the percentages for people and then we help walk them through like the next step. All you have to do this week is open 4 more bank accounts. That's it. You know, you got 1 week to do that. Here's the bank to do it. So it's just like super simple, like spoon fed. Here's how you do it. And then we walk through doing their first allocations with them. The number of people who are just freaked out to do their first allocations. And then it is scary. Like now I'm going to have less in my operating expense account. What if I don't have enough to pay my bills? And so just really handling, like asking all of those questions and having somebody who's been doing this for 15 years to ask and to call and be like, I don't have enough money to pay my payroll this week. What do I do? Okay, let's figure it out. There's always an answer. We've got the answers and we just really help people through. And we like to work with people for the first year because even though you see results in 3 months, new questions are going to come up. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Month 11 or 12.
Well, and what I find too is, and again, as a business manager, people are always like, well, you just set up my systems and I'll be good to go. And I'm like, until the system breaks because there's an outlier until, so I could totally see the system being great until you lose a client and suddenly your income drops and then everything goes out. Like, so until you get your reps in over that year and you work through all those problems with a guide and expert who can hold your hand and teach you how to get like you're working out, right? Someone who can teach you how to get stronger and then you can maybe branch out on your own. But I'm just curious how many people, even after their year, are like, okay, don't take the training wheels off. I'm really good.
I mean, because you said it, Allison, like something's going to happen, it's like, and you said earlier, like people are like, well, now I want to grow. I've got this profitable business. Now I want to do it again, And so, I mean, we went through the 5 basic accounts, but one of our mottos is when in doubt, open an account. So we will most likely have more than 5 bank accounts with almost all of our clients. And especially when they want to grow, it's like, okay, well, you've got let's start an account and start putting money in it so that you can go build that second location or whatever it is that you
like
want.
An investment account. I love that.
The other one that I love that I think your audience will really like is a new hire account. If you've got the contractors that you need right now, but you want another one, let's start saving for that person now so that once we bring them on, we have a runway before they have to feel the pressure to start producing for you to cover their own paycheck. And so you don't get attached to a person before you can afford them. You can afford it. So there's tons of examples of accounts like that. And again, we may not run into those until years, who knows, 3,
Yeah.
5, 8.
But I think too, what you're saying, everything you just said there, it takes away that whole I'm making more so I can spend more. Like, because that is not the mentality of every freaking business owner. We all start making money. We start, and then we're like, oh, I've got money to play with. I can go ahead and hire. I can go ahead and sign up for that. I can get that software. I can pay for, and then the profit doesn't exist because your income, your expenses just went with your revenue and the profit never existed. But if you're setting aside profit every single month and you're like, how is it that I'm making $2,000 more in revenue, but I have $20 still in profit? That's a problem. So I love that, just the idea of having all those accounts, it's that accountability right there, because if you can see it, if you can measure it, you can scale it. You can't scale what you can't measure. So I love that. Oh my gosh,
Exactly.
Shannon, we share the same last name and we share this affinity for math geekiness. Absolutely love it. What would be, if you could give my audience, like, we always talk about giving them the next step, right? So again, they are making money. They've got the consistent income, but they might be struggling to sustain, let alone scale. I'm going to assume the first step you would say is open 4 more accounts, right? What would be the next step after that? After they open their 4 accounts, what would they do?
Actually, I would say, if for most of your people, just open 1 new account.
Okay.
You don't have to go to 4, just do 1. And every single time you get a deposit, you get paid from a customer or client, whatever you call them, take 1% of that payment and put it in that new account.
Well,
That's
easy.
really it.
That's
just
so
start
easy.
with that. It's so easy. It may be you're doing it every day, right? Hopefully you're getting paid every day. You're getting a little trickle of something every day. But if you only get paid every week or every month, that's fine too. Every time you get a deposit into any account, put that 1% into that account. You'll just start to see the benefits, right? It's all in your head. It's all psychology and mindset. You'll start to see the results. You'll start to kind of get the dopamine hit every time you transfer into that account. You're like, oh, I get to pay myself. I'm going to get to take a bonus, whatever it is that you set as your goal for that account. And then you'll gain momentum, and then you'll be like, okay, maybe this isn't so scary. Maybe now I can open that second account, and then gradually work your way up to the other.
So I'm going to circle back though. I'm going to go back to pain points, because that just made me think, like, I could do that literally as soon as we stop recording. I can go open an account and I can shift some money. But I'm just going to be very transparent. So there's the credit card looming, that debt out there.
Yes.
And part of me is like, I can't take profit knowing I have credit card debt, that $200 in quote profit could pay $200 towards that credit card. How do you help somebody? I don't want to say justify it, but like mindset wise, like there's that, because debt looms over all of us, particularly those of us in those first couple of years. How do we let go of that debt cringe in order to enjoy the profit?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to talk about people who do have debt, because that's a really good point. When you have debt in your business, when you get that quarterly profit distribution, we actually recommend that you take 45% of what's in that profit account and put it towards your debt. Make an extra debt payment with the 45%. 5% you take as a profit distribution, and 50% stays in that account. It always stays in that account. That's always true. That's like it's your cushion, because shit's going to happen in business.
Yeah.
Right. And so we leave that in the account so that when something happens, you have that cushion to fall back on. And the other piece about being in debt is you have to do both of those things at the same time, pay off debt and save at the same time, because I've seen way too many people pay off that last credit card bill. They are like out having their celebration. That's the best profit distribution, right? When you've like paid off your debt and you get a profit distribution. And then like within a month, their HVAC goes out or whatever it is. And all of a sudden they're right back in debt because they had no savings to go alongside it. So that's why we say you have to save 50% pay off 45%.
Okay.
That way, when you pay it off, you still have savings and something can still go wrong and you're not right back in debt. Cause that's like the most defeating thing ever.
It is. And so I feel like the way you're saying it is a very healthy approach to it, because yeah, the idea is I want to pay off that credit card as soon as possible. But at the same time, you're absolutely right. Like we've all freaking been there where we're like celebrating. And then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, it's like,
And at the same time, you have to take that little bit for yourself, that 5%, right? Because we do see people burn out all the time as business owners. So if you're not getting some kind of like benefit
Yeah.
personally from the business, you'll be like, what the hell? I don't even want to make the debt payments anymore. Let's just close up shop and go home, right?
right.
Do all three in proportion to each other, and then it just gives you the motivation to keep doing.
Yeah. And just got to keep at it. But you see those little, and I imagine again, by having a guide, you have that encouragement. That's that person that keeps saying to you, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Stay with it a little bit longer. I feel like that is the benefit of every single coach out there. The coach is the one that says, don't give up. You're going to make it. And then when you make it, they're like, let's celebrate your freaking win. Don't go climb the next mountain. Celebrate the mountain we just climbed, because that's all.
Yeah.
I am a horrible celebrator. And so I think the benefit of having someone else on the outside who's like, no, this was the goal. We made it. Celebrate it. So Shannon, thank you so much. I feel like this conversation, at least for me, it was so encouraging. Like there are things that I'm doing where I'm on the right track, but at the same time, it was like such easy ways to get more clarity around what I could be doing to help me be encouraged. Cause I'm at that teetering point where I'm like the income and the revenue is going up. And I'm like, oh, what do I do with the money? Because I know what I want to do with it. It's probably not a good idea, but I love this idea. So this was a very timely recording for me personally. I absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun. And I really do hope that it's helpful for you as you scale and grow, and really does give a lot of clarity like you're talking about. So that's amazing that it happened at this time for you.
Yeah, it's funny how that all works out. But do me a favor, share with all of my listeners, how can they find you? How can they work with you? And then tell them where about that link that you said that you have that we can share.
Yeah. So Profit First Overview, you can get at fitforprofit.com/the-next-steps. So podcast name, right?
Mhm.
We're on all the socials. Facebook is Fit for Profit. Instagram is Fit4Profit, and LinkedIn as well as Shannon Simmons on LinkedIn. So
Gotcha.
all the
Yeah.
places.
I'll make sure all the links are in the show notes for everybody. You should totally check this out, because I'm going right after I'm done recording to go take the assessment and get all my ducks in a row, because this is super exciting. Have a wonderful vacation. Where are you going, by the way?
Thank you. Absolutely nowhere, and those are the best ones.
It's a staycation. I love it. You'll probably be more rested than I am coming back from mine.
We'll see. I always have bigger goals for that time than usually happen, but it's all good.
It is what it is. All right, everybody, go out there, make a plan, take action.